Hi, YouTube family. This is Brittany.
And this is Nicole.
And we're here today with Lizzie, the winner of our Summer Vibes competition. So we're going to be going over all of her tips that she has for her beautiful artwork, as well as some other things that her followers might not know about her artwork.
Let's talk about here where we are.
Here in Houston,
talk about
yes.
the space.
Yes.
Let's plug it.
Yes, absolutely. So this is Casa de Montecristo. We are a chain of cigar lounges and bars here in Houston. There's 3 locations across the country. There's about 19 of us, and I manage this location here in Houston off of 1960. It's a great location. We have tons and tons and tons of cigars. I think we have over 1,600 open faces. About 8,000 plus square foot facility, and it's, I would say, definitely an awesome place to learn how to smoke, to gather with friends, have a drink, join us for events that we have, every other week or so. But it's a great place, and I'm here. Yeah, I'm here. If you have any questions, you don't know how to smoke, I'd love to teach you.
So, Lizzie, tell us a little bit about you, like your new fans that you will be, of course, getting during this videotaping.
Well, awesome. So first of all, thank you so much for having me here. And I was very excited. So this is like the first art competition I've ever won. So thank you for that. That's something new. Probably people didn't really realize. I have been professionally doing artwork, I would say probably the last 3 years. And just recently, the last year, started dabbling to mixed media. So that's what these pieces are. 2 passions that I have are art and cigars, and that's what this is here. So it combines my 2 passions. So,
which is actually amazing. I know it's really hard to tell, but I will go ahead and add a video or a picture up for you to see like more of the details of her artwork. But all of the pieces that we have here are cigar pieces. And if you're familiar with collage, that's a really intricate thing to do. And so when we were looking over all of the pieces, we were all so intrigued by it because other people that might not know, Nicole and I are artists as well too, but we knew for sure that we had a winner on our hands when we saw it.
Thank you.
Just looking over the details, the attention to detail as well too. So we also want to know what inspired more so the pieces that you entered for the competition.
So I would say the pieces themselves were, it was in the middle of summertime. So definitely trying to get that summer vibe, but cigars, I would say cigars are a huge piece and a huge part of my life. I smoke every day. I at least try to smoke at least 4 times a day, 4 cigars a day. So it is a big part of my life. And then art. This, for me, I think captured 2 big areas of my life. One is Long Beach, California. So this is inspired by Long Beach. You see the taco trucks in Long Beach. And then Houston, the Houston skyline. Houston is such a big part of my life, and it brings me joy. So I was like, well, let me just kind of combine the vibe that I'm feeling with what I love to do. And that's where, and I collect cigar bands. So cigar bands were the inspiration to this. So it's almost like art in art.
Yes. Nice. Where do you store all of the
my
pieces?
Cigar?
Yes.
Oh, the pieces?
Like the cigar pieces, because you have to collect, I'm sure, a lot of them.
I do.
To be able to make these.
Yes. So all of them are stored here behind you. You see, nobody smoked them yet. So when they smoke them, I have boxes set up around my lounge here, and I make sure that everybody takes the cigar band off and puts it in my box.
Wow.
So for detail, for those that don't know that aren't cigar people, you're referring to the band that's
Correct,
here.
Yes.
And those are the pieces that literally make up the skyline, the truck, even the parachuter, all that going on there.
That's correct. Yep.
Awesome.
Yeah, and the cool thing about it is they're all different pieces. So those of you that smoke cigars may recognize an Opus X as, a specific building, or Camacho is that famous building downtown, the one that tears off in Houston. That's the Camacho building. The taco truck is one of the cigar bands is Street Tacos. It's, birria taco or whatever, carnitas. That's the actual band in the taco truck. So I did a play on tacos and taco truck.
Wow.
So if you don't mind, talk a little bit about that, because you mentioned you're from Houston, but cultural, talk a little bit about who you are.
So I'm actually from Los Angeles.
Okay.
Yep. I live here in Houston now. I lived in Houston about 17 years ago with my son, but I'm originally from Los Angeles. So a lot of the artwork I do plays very much into my culture. So being Afro-Latina, I'll do a lot of things that are integrated with my background. It could be colors. Colors are huge in my culture. It could be people smoking cigars because of my hobby, and I have family from different parts of my country, whether it's Spain, Cuba, Mexico. They're very big in the cigar culture. If you look at a certain wrapper of some of these cigars, or San Andreas, which is a Mexican wrapper, or you look at maybe a binder, a filler, Nicaragua and Honduran, a lot of it is Latin America or of a Hispanic influence.
Oh, wow. Yeah. So a lot of culture in cigars that people might not be familiar with or know about. So when was the first time you smoked? When did you know too that you just, I love this?
First time I smoked versus I love this are two different stories.
Right?
Much different stories.
Share them both.
First time I smoked, I was 18. And I remember I used to see people smoking, you go to the gas station, you see them pull out a Black and Mild or some kind of little Swisher Sweet. Yeah, that was like
she frowned at the Swishers, guys. Note to self.
So that for me was kind of a first taste of, okay, let me try a Black and Mild. I thought I was, pretty badass, and had a little wooden tip on it. Wasn't a fan, and then I just really went into a bigger, deeper cigar, which is the Maduro. Maduro is a cigar that is a lot more powerful. If you haven't had food or something within the last half hour, I recommend not doing that, because it gets you buzzed, gets you an upset stomach. I mean, everything. And I was smoking it like every 2 seconds. The room began to spin. And
wow.
I was just like, I'm never doing this again.
Love to see women smoking. Just not that I love to see women smoking, but just love to see women enjoying, right?
Absolutely.
Whatever it is they want to do, enjoy. Talk a little bit about that, like just being a woman and smoking in a very male
dominant
industry.
Yeah, absolutely. So as you mentioned, Nicole, women are probably the fastest growing population right now in the cigar industry. Women are taking charge, they're taking ownership, and they're taking basically their portion of the pie. They are definitely are educating themselves. I am in the process of getting my certification for tobacconist. You'll see a lot of women doing certification for tobacconists, sommeliers.
We learned something new right there. Yes. I did not even know there was a certification for that. That's awesome. Yes. That's cool.
And it does. It helps you really understand what the cigar is, the body of the cigar, how to pair the cigar. Here in the lounge, we have one of our tobacconists, Bianca. She does pairings. So she'll teach how, she held a ladies class. I think I was telling you about that. She held a ladies pairing class about 2 weeks ago, and it helps bring the women in to the lounge where you would have a predominantly male population, and have them sit down and say, okay, this is what you do. This is how you pair. This is how you cut. This is how you light. We pair it with scotch. We pair it with bourbon. We pair it with wines. We pair it with a Guinness. So really understanding, if we're drinking every day, why not pair it with something that, you want to smoke? And it can be intimidating.
Sure. Yeah.
But we create an environment to where a woman is teaching other women how to do it. So you smoke like a boss.
I love that. Yeah. Like a boss. I love that. I think that's absolutely amazing, and congratulations on pursuing that. I think that's absolutely wonderful. So how do you balance art and smoking, cigar life, getting certification? Just, it's a lot, right?
Yeah.
Talk about it.
I feel like artists have to balance. So I want to know your secrets to that too.
So I was holding 2 full-time jobs recently. I was working at Amazon, and I realized that I just couldn't do what I loved and do that. And being here part-time, somewhat starting off part-time, I realized that I really did love cigars, and I really wanted to get into the cigar community. I wanted to get into that type of lifestyle, but also introduce art into that lifestyle, since there's so much art in the culture already. I mean, just like we mentioned, the bands, if you take a look at the band itself,
a lot of the bands are beautiful.
Yeah, some of this art that goes into the band itself is just, it's amazing. And I don't think people really realize it's like little mini masterpieces. And for me, it just makes sense. The art of cigar rolling, the art of cigar growing, the art of the bands within the cigars themselves, those alone are art. So it just married very, very well. So I left Amazon and became the manager here full time, and just dove into my artwork, and luckily I can smoke and paint at the same time. So
I love it.
Did you have anyone that you felt that inspired you, like artistic wise, that inspired your artwork, like even if it was someone throughout history or someone that you know in your family?
So there is an artist. His name is Arte Fumar. He's on Instagram, and when it came to this type of artwork, he did inspire me. Like looking at his pieces are just phenomenal. He recently did a cigar box, and I can't remember the company that he did, but he did a piece like this for a cigar box, and he went out to a different country and they introduced it into that box. And for me, that's like, oh my God, I do that. Maybe I can have that one day. Maybe people will recognize who I am before I pass away, because, you know, living artists, we want to be recognized while we're still alive. So he really helped inspire me and push my boundaries of what I thought I could do just painting into now this three-dimensional or this mixed media type of thing, because he takes things, then he makes sculptures with the art, I mean with the bands also.
Oh wow.
So it's really, really, really cool with the stuff that he does. So I figured, you know what, I'm just going to try it. I want to try something new. And I think we limit ourselves with what we think we can't do until we try it and we're like, okay, I can do that. What else can I do?
Right? Yeah.
So with artwork evolving, I know a lot of us, we create one way and we just take time to get to the way we start creating. What was your art like before?
So about 3 years ago, I had mentioned that I had broke both my legs in an accident. And if you're familiar with Frida Kahlo, she had a really bad accident where she was left bedridden. So during this time, I couldn't walk. I had broken both my legs right below my kneecaps, and I was depressed. I mean, just completely depressed. And I had gained a lot of weight and just really didn't want to do anything. So my husband, he ended up bringing me some acrylic pens and some art paper, and he was like, just draw, just start drawing. And so I was like, okay, well, let me just start drawing. And mind you, I've drawn for years. I've never painted. So I painted once in college and really just, that was it. I just didn't do anything anymore. So I've always sketched, done some type of, you know, ink, mica pen, whatever it is. I've done that, but I never really took the time to paint. So I started drawing, and he gave me acrylic pens, and I was like, you know what, let me try painting. So I was in a wheelchair. And in a wheelchair, I worked on some of my paintings. So there's this one painting. It's this Cuban lady, and I'm not sure if you're familiar with any of my work. So there's one piece I have where this lady, she's smoking a cigar, and it's all red. And as I started painting her, it took me a while. And as I finished, it almost was this culmination of I began to walk again. And I finally was able to walk by the time I was done with her piece. And I realized, oh my God, I love painting. I grew up thinking I would never be a portrait artist. I always wanted to be a landscape artist. I hated the whole idea of portraits, and I fell in love with portrait art.
Nice. You know, I've seen the piece that you're referring to. She's an older lady with the cigar on the red background. And when I see it, I always wonder, is that someone that you knew? Was it like an aunt or just somebody that came to you? Okay.
So I would look at pictures as I'm smoking. I would look at pictures. There's famous paintings out there in Cuba of older women smoking cigars. So I took my own take on it, and that's what I ended up painting. And I really was frustrated, and I poured all of my anger and all of my sadness and all of my depression, and I left it in that piece. And if you look at her, you wonder, what the hell are you thinking? What's going on? You know, what kind of day? And she's basically, the piece is liberation, because if you know a lot about the women that rolled in the cigar factories, they rolled in the factories. They were working hard in the factories in Cuba. They did, you know, a lot of women, we always do a lot of that work where we have this stereotype of what we're supposed to be. And basically her smoking cigars said, basically, F you. I'm going to do it my way. I'm going to do how I want to do it. And it's going to be a beautiful thing. And that's what I did with that. I just said, F you, I'm going to start painting, and I'm going to walk again, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to make this my own. And that's where my transition to painting full time really began, and I just took off with it.
What's next? What's next for Lizzie?
So I would say the biggest thing for me is really marrying more so the culture of cigars and art together. Really, it is creating that niche of these two things that have been around for centuries, that have been around for forever, and really modernizing them, bringing them together. There is a certain regalness of fine art, these art pieces. There's a certain quality that we give ourselves as an artist that we pour into each piece, whether it's literally cutting your finger on something and you got a piece of, your blood in there versus, your spirit, everything that goes into it. The same with cigars. Cigars are probably a cheap version of counseling. I mean, it's, you sit there, you smoke, you meditate, you have great conversations over cigars, you have a drink over cigars, you meet over cigars, you build these thoughts and these processes by sitting down with cigars. A lot of that is the same thing that you would do when you're drawing or when you're painting. And for me, I think they just go together so well. And there's an upper echelon, I think, an upper quality of lifestyle that comes with artwork, true, I think, fine artwork and cigars. You just, by marrying the two, is just very natural.
Nice. I love it.
Do you think you'll ever make really big collages down the line, or?
So yes. So the largest one I have right now is a pair of high heels, and it's a pair of Christian Louboutins that are cigar bottoms. And the bottom of the heels, instead of having them the red bottoms, they're cigars, and it's probably about, I think it's about a 48 by 36.
Wow.
So it is massive. It is huge. That's the largest one I have so far, with cigar art, with mixed media. But I do intend to do a much, much larger piece. I just have to figure it out. Yeah. And a lot more collecting of bands.
You're right.
Yes.
I love it. Well, this has been great. This has been a very inspirational talk. Good talk. I really enjoyed learning about you, and I can't think of anything else, but
I'm happy I met you in person.
Yeah, finally.
Yes. Because I was like, I missed you.
I love it. Awesome. Good stuff.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having us. And thanks for having us here. This has been really insightful. And just fun. I'm not gonna lie, I love how it smells. It's kind of got that tobacco.
It does. Yeah.
Yumminess. So interesting. But,
so subscribe to Lizzie's social media, ours as well, and we will see you guys next time.
Yay.
Thank you so much for tuning into our latest YouTube video. If you would like us to interview you and even give a tour to your studio if you're in Houston or abroad, give us a DM. We would love to learn about your artistic practice. Go ahead and message us, and see you next time. Thanks from Britt and Nicole.